All right, we're back. We're tapping into the laws of influence here on the Get Warrior Tough radio show. Down to the last half hour of the most monumental hour in media anywhere. Dutch and Andrew. Dutch, I kind of cut you off because we were up on a break when we left out. Did you want to pick up there?
No, just reiterating that that we are ultimately getting what we want. Now, again, you and I have both always touched on how you only use this for good, and that's the reason there. So when you want things that are good, then you end up getting what you want anyway. So we don't want you moving people to bad places so you can get good. But when you move people to good places and you also get good, then that's wonderful because everyone wins. So when you give love and you receive love, everyone wins. When you give acceptance and receive acceptance, everyone wins. So that's what we're trying to push you. We're trying to push you to move people in a manner such that everyone wins. And this is what happens in the real world. This is what happens in society. The good things that happen, because we've seen it happen in a bad way, but this also is a reason and a way to move society forward. Now, a lot of times you only hear about how this negatively impacts society, but we have a ton of stories where we've moved people forward and we've moved forward along with them. We've had a positive impact on people or situations. And that's what we're trying to empower people to do. That's what we're trying to teach people to do. And that's what we're trying to get people to understand that these powers, and we call them powers because they're powerful.
Oh, they are.
That this is good. This is not bad. Manipulation, moving people, it's not all bad. It depends on what your target is when you're doing it.
Right. And again, we use our superpowers for good. So I'll tell you this whole thing about, this is the exchange where I give you love and acceptance. I fulfill your number one need. And then that person wants to do anything to help you, even though my number one need's fulfilled. I've already accepted me, so I'm not looking for that. So maybe my need is that cup of coffee, or maybe my need is a favor, or maybe my need is, come to the front of the line. Okay, so let me just give you an example. So when I was with on Joe Lieberman's detail, I was his lead advance agent. So I would go everywhere in the country 2 days, if I could, 2 days, sometimes 1 day, but 2 days before he would get there. And I would show up and I would have to do the advance. So I'm putting together the entire, security plan, the routes, the trauma, every venue. So if we were having dinner at a restaurant, I had that whole place staked out. I knew who was going to be on that night, the managers, who's on the staff. I had our parking, a limit right up to the front. I knew which table we were going to be in. I knew where the restrooms were. I had a private room for him set up, all these things. Now, I could go into a restaurant, and this is what would happen is the Secret Service would go in and tell people, because they're the Secret Service and it's the president or the vice president or whatever. We tell people what we're going to do. I never told anybody. They're going to do what I want, all right? Because I have jurisdiction. I've got the federal badge. You're going to do it. But I don't like telling anybody. What I'm doing is I'm asking you. I'm in your world, and now I give you acceptance. Could you do me the favor of, helping me out with this? And I bring them into the loop of love, right, into the circle of acceptance and love, and I'm telling you what, the whole world opens up for you. I mean, I'm telling you, the mayor of the city of Albany, like gave me the keys to the city, but the police chief taking me out for dinner, they acted like I was the senator simply because I gave them acceptance and asked for help instead of telling them.
That is beautiful. And that's exactly what happens. I mean, people have to understand that this is real. And you can go back to yourself what you've given to others when they've given you that. Not just about when you've given and received, but what others have given to you initially and what you gave back to them. So think about the times where someone did it to you and how you granted them favor. So it's not just about you doing it, but the experiences of having it done to you and how you appreciated it. Yeah, and how you return the favor.
Right, and be grateful when they give you favor, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for them to have favor on me anyway. That's the influence. I'm trying to get them to do what I want. So when they do it, then I'm going to be grateful, not be like, yeah, right? If you ever have to go to where you're using fear or anger or leverage or threats to get what you want, you've lost. You've lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and that's why when you're open and you're uncovered and you're just real and you're congruent, My secret life is congruent with my private life, which is congruent with my public life. Back to CEO of You. When all three of those things match up, I can be unguarded and exposed, open and uncovered, because I'm not afraid. I don't have to be hypocritical. I ain't afraid because you can't reject me. I take away that power. I'm CEO of me. I've already accepted me. So I'm not looking for acceptance from you. In fact, what I'm doing here is I'm bearing the gift of acceptance to you. I'm giving you my acceptance. And I'll tell you what, I've been around some of the richest, most powerful folks in the world, literally, the richest, most powerful folks in the world. Not one of them didn't like it when I gave them my acceptance. Not a single one.
Beautiful.
Now, here's the fourth thing. You got to be humble. You got to be modest, demure, not showy and flashy. Quit with the hot dogging. Stop with what Dutch said earlier, the arrogance. Not telling you don't be confident. You definitely want to be confident. But I don't need to be. I can be modest and humble, not flashy and showy and hot dogging. And everybody, hey, look at me, trying to be the coolest kid, the James Dean act and Fonzie and all that. That's great for TV, but nobody likes how you get. Now, what is happening is if I act like I'm cooler than you, I'm making you feel a certain way about yourself, which is not good. What I need to do to be the coolest kid is to make you feel really cool about yourself. Then I can get whatever I want from you. So I'm going to be humble. I'm going to be listen, I had an old first sergeant tell me this. He said, Wittman, never be the smartest person in the room. Even if you are, don't be. It'll only hurt you. Be humble. Be modest.
And it goes down. Yeah, it goes with the teaching. It goes with the teaching. And again, the reason I like it being taught this way, because usually you're told this. You're told to be this. You're told to do this. You're told don't be arrogant. But what we're explaining to you is how it's all connected. Because if I just say don't be arrogant, well, why can't I be arrogant? It feels so good.
Well, and when you are arrogant, that's a red flag for me that you have self-esteem issues and you need my help. Because you're trying to put yourself up amongst others because you haven't accepted yourself and you're trying to gain their acceptance. That's exactly what's going on there.
Absolutely. And so what we're giving you is the next level to that. Because that's telling you the why and why it's negative, right? But we're taking it to the next level. We're telling you not only is that negative when you do that, it doesn't help you get to your target. And this is how doing the opposite and why it does help you get to your target. So we're giving you even more information, more factual information, more evidence that's letting you know, giving you more reason to do things the right way. So it's like one of those things when your parents just tell you don't do something. Just don't do it, but they don't explain why. They don't explain the why. Well, we're taking you to the next level because we're telling you that how eliminating this behavior ends up ultimately helping you. So we're not going to leave you out there and just expect you to do what we say. We're going to give you the reasons, the science, the factual information and evidence that's going to compel you to behave differently. That's what we're doing right now, because ultimately, like we said earlier, you're going to get what you want as well.
Right, and I'll tell you, this works now. If I came up against a person who's arrogant, right, who's all trying to be, big and bad or the coolest dude in school and all that, right, I can work them easier than anybody else because all I got to do is be humble and be modest, not showy and flashy, and then just let them. And feed into their thing because that's what they're looking for. Now I just give them the acceptance that they're looking for, and now I own them. That's the arrogant, toughest dude. That's the easiest one. The most flashy, hot dogging, narcissistic. That's the easiest one for me to manipulate. The easiest one for me to persuade and influence. Because you're screaming for acceptance, and all I have to do is give you some acceptance and a little bit of adoration and some respect thrown in. Wow, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
What up?
Absolutely.
What up? You're gonna do what Witty says. I know it. Works every time. You have no idea what just hit you. I know it's diabolical. See, that's why we call them superpowers. I'm telling you, this stuff is so powerful. So powerful. It's ridiculous. It should be illegal in 13 states and 45 countries. I mean,
that's what it is, though. I mean, it's real. One thing we try to do is be real with you guys at every stop, and that's it. I tell you, and I love it, man. I love seeing it at work. I love seeing people realize it once it happens to them for the very first time. Once I say they deploy it, they put it out, they use it out in the field. They're all excited.
Oh yeah, there ain't nothing like you get that first free cup of coffee, man.
But I tell you what, even more than that is that feeling of that acceptance we spoke of.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's more powerful than anything, man.
Anything, because you walk away. Somebody was better. Their day and their life was better for having brushed up against you, for your two circles crossing each other, and you left them better than when you found them. There's nothing better than that.
Amen. And that's real. And that's as real as it comes. When you can impact the lives of others, that's about as real as it comes.
All right, so that leads into number 5. Have a sense of humor, especially about yourself. If you can be self-deprecating, right? If you could see the funniness in your flaws, right? So you've heard me tell, like on the podium, my fat key story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them. I call my Clark Griswold moments. I share them openly because I'll tell you what, the crowd might be like kind of all at they'll be like, wow, with my bio. So they like me for my bio. They like that. But they love me for when I screwed up and I was a goofball and I was an embarrassment to myself, and I share those failures with it. They love that because now I'm closing the gap. Then they see I'm just like them. I'm no different, and they could have the same success that I have, the same success that you have, Dutch. So we close that gap with a sense of humor and not taking ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, and I think people that know us personally know we've mastered this part. We're going to have a good time. Life is good. We understand it. We love it. We've done the things to contribute to the way our lives are going, and so we don't live or dwell in the negative. We don't do that. So we have this sense of humor. We know how to have a great time. We know how to keep things in perspective, and that's also powerful.
Right, and
across the board.
Who doesn't want to be around somebody that's going to make them feel good in a tight, stress-filled, pressure-cooked situation where we can make them laugh and let the pressure out, get our hormones back in balance? You're going to feel good on so many levels being in our presence because we have a sense of humor. Of course you're going to want us around. Of course we're attractive. Of course we have charisma then. We make you laugh and feel good. Dutch, we're up on another break. Man, this hour is just like flying by. All right, so listen, you're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show. We're teaching you how to be a people whisperer. Come on back.